The moss-covered abbey crowned the hill like a judge upon a seat, silent but always watching. Below, the village huddled in its shadow, smoke rising thin from thatched roofs, chickens scratching in the dirt, oxen groaning under yoke. From a distance, the bell of the abbey tolled low and mournful, as if to remind the villagers that they belong not to the plough or the scythe, but to prayer and obedience. Within those walls dwelled 23 nuns. They lived by strict rhythm, prayers and confessions, psalms and fasts, sewing and scrubbing. Yet one rainy day that rhythm faltered, for a new abbess was to arrive at the convent. A new Mother Superior to take place of the previous one, who passed away of old age. Her name was Mercy, and rumors had arrived long before she herself, borne by couriers' tongues and the gossip of peddlers, that she was cold as slate, sharp as frost, a woman with no compassion. The sisters worried, heads bowed at vespers. What did we do to deserve this? Are we sinners, damned to suffer? Mercy's face was solemn, yet not cruel. Her voice was quiet, yet sweet, carrying the lilt of a songbird. She greeted each nun by name, though no one told her beforehand. She walked the cloisters as though she had dwelt in them forever, her hands folded in reverence, and to their astonishment, she proved the opposite of all rumors. She was kind, she was learned, and her devotion to God burned hotter than any fire upon their altars. The sisters found themselves softened beneath her gaze. She prayed with such fervor that their own prayers felt frail. In the evenings, she would gather them in the chapel, and on one occasion, she revealed a gift she was concealing, her voice. Once, in another life, she was an opera singer. Weeks passed, then months. She schooled them in the art of her former life, drawing from their throats voices that trembled with rapture and sorrow alike. The abbey was alive with the sound of music. They became a choir, their voices making the air quiver with hymn and harmony. The villagers below stilled in their labors, spades resting in earth and needles hanging slack, as the choir's voices echoed down the valley and wound like incense through their dirt roads. Never had they heard such sweetness from that dark stone place. Heaven itself has made a new home on that hill, they said, as they listened to the 23 voices joined as one. Alas, fair things seldom endure unspoiled. And before long news slipped into the convent, dark fragments of Mercy's hidden past. Murmurs spoke of a convent far away, where a nun perished during an exorcism unsanctioned by the church. Abbess Mercy led the ritual. The nun died bloodied in her embrace. The church found out but hid it in silence, not justice, and moved her to another convent. Just another piece upon their board. The rumor spread among the sisters. They were shocked, but would not ask her about it. They dared not, for they loved her too dearly. They feigned ignorance, yet it did not stop Mother Superior Mercy from finding out that this rumor lived among the nuns. A crumpled note left behind by one of the nuns revealed this fact. To Mercy, their silence about the matter rang louder than confession. Mercy began to brood, thinking, "They are tainted. They are doubters. The devil slivers among them in hushed words." One evening, she was teaching them a plain chant, her voice threading like silk through the cold air. From the rear of the chapel, a small giggle broke loose. A nervous thing, perhaps, or born of fatigue. But to Mercy, it was blasphemy. She halted mid-sentence. Her eyes flashed like steel drawn from a sheath. "Laughter," she hissed. "You mock the throne of God." The sisters bowed their heads in shame. From that night, she grew stricter. She punished faults with lashes of tongue and rod. Kneeling became longer, fasting harsher. Despite her efforts to right their wrongs, Mercy began to hear voices in her head. If these were angels speaking to her, they were not gentle cherubs. No, they were tormentors. They scolded her. "You fail them. You let their souls rot. You are an unworthy shepherd. Save them or be cast down with them." So loud they grew, she thought her mind would break beneath them. In an act of desperation, Mother Superior Mercy locked herself in her quarters to think, to pray, to ask for guidance and forgiveness for her failings as a leader. Whip in hand, night after night, she lashed herself raw till the welts wept crimson by the flickering candlelight. She starved herself until her lips cracked and only drank enough water to keep her alive. On the 5th night, she lay naked in a pool of her own blood, trembling, all hope lost. Then she saw him, Saint Peter, standing in the corner of her room, haloed in celestial firelight. He spoke. "Your lips shall be the instrument. A song shall be the key. Lead them, that their voices may rise beyond flesh into heaven itself." She felt many hands upon her, caressing, loving in their touch. She thought, "Am I delirious?" No, touched by angels. Then it stopped, and only one hand lingered. His hand, searing and slow as it traced her bare flesh. His touch burned but sweetly. Her eyes rolled back in rapture. With purpose revealed at once, she began her work. Locked in her chamber, fervently writing on parchments scattered all over the room like fallen feathers. Night and day the sisters waited at her threshold, mourning and praying as though at a tomb. When at last she emerged, she was gaunt, her face pale as wax. Mother Superior Mercy was reborn, eyes blazing with holy enlightenment. "I have been touched by God," she declared. "We shall ascend, not through death of the flesh, but through song itself. Heaven will hear us. Heaven will take us. I bring you Lacrimosa Vox, the song of penance, the song of ascension." The sisters fell to their knees. They did not doubt her, eager to learn the new hymn, for they saw in her face a fire beyond mortal kind. So began the rehearsals, morning and night, their voices interwoven. The song was mournful, drenched in minor tones, each note drawn as though from the marrow. They sang until their throats ached, until tears streaked their cheeks, each tear a gift to God. The villagers heard everything. The voices rolled down the hill like mist. At dawn, the song began. At dusk, it still echoed. With each passing day, the voices dwindled, until at last, one dawn brought only silence upon the hill. No chant, no bell toll. The abbey mute as stone. That evening, a lone figure staggered into the village square. It was Mother Superior Mercy, gaunt as a corpse, her robes sudden as though she had risen from baptism or drowning. Her hair clung in slick ropes across her pallid face. The villagers recoiled, for as she drew nearer, they saw she was drenched not only in blood, but clinging globs of tallow. The stench of iron and rancid fat hung about her like a shroud. She seized a torch from the smith's wall, and none dared hinder her, for terror kept them back. A crowd gathered nonetheless, held between dread and awe. Mercy lifted her chin, pride carved across her features, and then she began to sing. It was Lacrimosa Vox, but now her voice was jagged, guttural, from unrelenting practice. With her free hand, she drew a blade from her sleeve, pressed it to her neck, and with one swift pull, she slit her throat from ear to ear. Blood gushed, yet still she sang, gurgling, choking, the song breaking into shards of agony. The torch slipped from her grasp, and catching on the tallow that clung to her flesh and her torn robes, it set her body alight. Flames devoured her at once. She shrieked, yet her face shone radiant, ecstatic. The villagers, struck with horror, quickly tried to fetch water to put the flames out, but they would be too late. Some of the villagers thought of the sisters left behind and rushed to the abbey on the hill, dreading what they might find. In the great hall, they found the nuns, sprawled on the floor, each throat opened, their habits caked black with congealed blood. The air was heavy with the stench of iron and incense. Among the bodies, a single nun stirred. Her arm lifted weakly, and the villagers hastened to her side. Her lips moved, spilling only fractured whispers. The angels came. They lifted our voices to heaven. They carried her away and tended her wounds. But what remained was only half a soul. No priest, no healer, no kin could restore her. She insisted she should have died and ascended with them. She told fragments of their story, and through her shattered words the tale became known. The abbey was sealed and left to rot, its gates barred, abandoned. The villagers named Mercy, the voiceless Madonna, and her legend spread from hearth to hearth. Mothers frightened their children with her name, and none dared climb the hill after dark. To this day, villagers claim that when the wind howls down the valley, they hear it. A choir of women, faint but piercing, their notes rise, fall, break into sobs. It's no song of joy, no hymn of peace, but the cry of sorrow echoing in their wake. If heard, prayers are whispered quickly, for fear the singing might draw them into that endless lament, the forbidden hymn. Lacrimosa Vox.